changed my life.
Been very emotional.
Here we go. Welcome. No. All right. Welcome to the podcast. I am Tahe. This is Jacob. We've got Max over the back. Today we have a special guest. We have Jordyn coming on. Woo! There's a little clap going on. No one can hear it except for the listeners. Yeah. But yeah, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How
That's
are you
good.
guys?
Going good. Just yeah. Good start to the morning. Had a little coffee, a bit of sunrise. So
Yeah, I've seen that. Where were you?
That's
What
nice.
was
Sunny
what's
boy.
with that? Oh,
So wholesome up there.
it is. It's hectic.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very
Sunny boy,
beautiful
did you get
women out
toasty
there.
or?
I actually didn't eat. I just had
What's wrong with you?
had a coffee. Yeah, sat out there with the boys, and yeah, it was good. It was fucking hot.
Yeah,
real
tomorrow's
hot.
supposed to be like 40 something.
Yeah, I'm bunkering up inside tomorrow.
I'm struggling. I was struggling last
Putting
night.
a bit of Ted Lasso.
Yeah, how good is that show?
So, have you watched it?
That's
Bro,
the football show, isn't it? The soccer
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
is.
Ted
It is
Lasso.
probably one of the best ones, man. Like, I've got so many lines from that now that I say to people.
Doesn't he remind you of Jamie?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know about
Yeah,
that.
I think so.
But yeah, no.
Well, then who am I then?
Ted,
Yeah, you're probably Ted.
you're steroided up. You're steroided Ted.
I got the money. Be a
Yeah.
goldfish.
How's everyone else?
I'm fine. I'm good, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just prepping for I'm going to Terrigal today. It's going to be fun.
Why?
Why not?
I don't know. Why didn't you tell me these things before?
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
What's
Tell ya.
Where's that friendship?
Sorry, man.
I don't know communication, man.
Yeah, sorry. Apologies. I forgot we were in a relationship together. Yeah, no, just going down there for the day. Yeah, chill out. Get out of the office for a little bit. It's
Nice.
going to be nice, yeah.
That's good.
Finish
Nice.
off the week just before, which is good.
Nice. Max,
Wrap up with this.
how you going?
Yeah, I am. I'm all hyped up on Mountain Dew.
You're coming off night shift,
Coming
aren't
off night shift, yeah. So
Hasn't been to bed yet.
No, it's been a good night though. Nice, safe, and productive. A couple of things went pop like a tyre. That was about it. That's as exciting as it got. Which I didn't realise till I went up on the dump and I saw the truck. I was like, "That's a very, very flat tyre." I was like, "Oh, no, I was in. It's all good." But yeah, I'm pretty much my blood's been replaced with caffeine and black
Nice.
coffee. So I'm just like, yeah,
Living the dream.
So we just got to
raring
make
go,
sure
mate.
if we see like a nod off, we just got to turn down his mic because
Yeah.
we'll get
it's
some
just-
snoring. Huh?
Actually,
horrible
no,
snoring.
I do have my sleep machine over there.
Oh,
So
yeah, maybe whack it on now.
have you seen his sleep
I
machine?
haven't.
Oh man.
It looks like Top Gun.
Yeah.
Wow,
Do you know
he's
the mask?
Little
He just
sleep
carries it around.
machine.
Just he never knows where he might need to go to sleep.
That's right. I always come prepared.
You never know when you're going to need a good nap.
Yeah,
Love it.
Yeah.
exactly right.
Yeah, so today's guest, we have Jordyn. So we'll start off. If you just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, and yeah.
For sure.
Kick
Love
off.
talking about myself. No, so I am a clinical naturopath. So I have my little studio, the Health Refinery in Mayfield East, and I consult out of there. So I don't know if you guys, I mean, I know you'd know a little bit about what a naturopath is because obviously we're sort of working together, but do any of you have any, I don't know, are we clear on what a naturopath is? Or do we need
I
to-
got a rough. I go see Jess Hollier's mum.
Oh yes, I was talking to Jess.
Yeah, she's great. So she's kind of opened my eyes a bit about it, which has been good. But
I think the boys in here we sort of know the basics of it. We know
Yeah.
like the iridology and that type of stuff. But if you want to get the
Expand.
basics
yeah, expand a lot more.
of
Yeah.
the listeners,
So I guess the easiest way I find to describe it is to sort of relate it to what people do know. Because so many people, I say I do naturopathy or I was studying naturopathy or I'm a naturopath and they're like, oh, natural what?
Yeah.
I don't know what even that word is.
yep.
So what we do know is generally most people go to a GP for their health concerns, right? A GP, there's definitely a time and a place for general practitioners. Absolutely. I'll never deny that. I'm a big lover of medicine and I feel like, as I said, definitely a time and a place. But you go there and you tell them your concerns, what your symptoms are, and their job is to look for some sort of disease, whether that's or a condition, and treat that condition specifically. So you might go with these weird thirst, like you're excessively thirsty and you're putting on weight and you can't, you just keep putting on weight, can't work out why. And they'll say, okay, let's do some testing. You've got type 2 diabetes. Let's treat it with metformin. And that's sort of the process there. my job as a naturopath is to address those symptoms or find out what those symptoms are and find out what all of the symptoms are, not just the one that you think is most sort of relevant in your life, but every little bit of something that's going on, and then hunt down the real reason why that's occurring and treat that. So we call it the root cause, treating the root cause rather than just putting sort of a Band-Aid or rather than just putting a Band-Aid over the symptoms. So that's my job. It generally involves it's a lot of communication between myself and my clients. I do a 90-minute initial consultation. So it's a huge amount of time where we literally delve into everything. So first of all, you'd sort of come to me and you tell me what your symptoms are. What's going on for you at the moment? And why are you here to see me? What do you want me to help you do? And then I ask all these questions about medical history and what's the timeline and when did these things start and was there something that happened years and years and years ago that you think might not be relevant but could actually be. And we talk about all the different body systems. So I ask lots of questions that people don't think are relevant, and we manage to form this really big, beautiful picture of what is actually happening in your body and what, I guess, components or factors are contributing to how your body is, displaying that. So your symptoms that you're showing. So, yeah. Anyway, as a bit of a chatter, sorry, but
it's good for the podcast.
Treatment wise, my focus is generally diet and lifestyle modifications first and foremost. I'm a big believer in nothing will change if we can't optimize the things you do every single day. So that's number one. And then we also look at herbal medicine and nutritional supplementation. I sort of call it my toolbox, and these are the tools I have. And one of them is also functional testing and pathology. I'm a very science-based naturopath, so I'm big on the numbers. I'm big on the mechanisms behind what's happening for you, and we're sort of having a little bit of a chat about chemistry and stuff before, and I'm big on that. So I want to know, is there some sort of microbiome imbalance? Is there, and we can talk more about that if you want to, or is, the thyroid actually sluggish and we haven't picked it up on other blood tests? I do a lot of testing to work out the true reason and really be really efficient and progressive in how I'm treating. Because we could just throw spaghetti at the wall and that's totally fine too. But if I have an answer, I know exactly what's up, I treat it and we get great results really quickly. Yeah. So that's what I do.
Yeah.
Well, how long does the study go for?
It's a 4-year degree.
Yeah.
So it used to be a diploma. Now it's a Bachelor of Health Science, sort of majoring in naturopathy. So yeah, we study a lot of herbal medicine, a lot of nutritional supplementation, a lot of pathophysiology, and biochemistry. So it's a very science-based degree now.
Yeah, okay.
Not so much of the energetic stuff. So we don't do as much iridology. So for example, that's an elective that we can do if we want to. I did do that. I don't use it a lot in practice. Doesn't mean I can't. I feel like iridology, for example, is a really good way to back up the things I'm finding in my questioning. Yeah.
Do you feel like times are changing now? Because I know a lot of people that if I say I'm going to see a naturopath, they're like, oh, it's just bullshit. Do you feel like the times are changing now, that it's becoming more acceptable for people to actually see a naturopath? And do you think it's changing?
I really hope so.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more education around what we do now.
Yeah.
And because we do have the scientific research to back up our treatments, there's no denying it.
Yeah.
So I think, the stigma is slowly starting to die down in alignment with the education level of the person giving that out. Yeah. So the more we can educate people about the actual facts, not just how we think and feel, but the actual facts and the statistics and the clinical trials that have been completed, the more that's going to become more acceptable, I feel. So, I mean, there is definitely a side of naturopathy that's still a little bit, woo-woo.
Yeah.
And I think there's a time, there's definitely a place for that.
I think when I saw Jess's mum, everything she did was like spot on, and then she's like, let me try this other thing where she like looks into your eye, and then she's just like, have you got throat problems? And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, how do you know that? And she's just like, I can just tell by something in your eye. And I was
That's
like,
the iridology part, isn't it?
yeah, and I was just
Yeah.
like, I don't believe you. I was
Yeah.
like, did someone tell you something? She's like, no. She goes, have you ever had throat problems? And I was like, yeah, I got elbowed in the throat playing footy, and it like changed my whole voice box and everything. And then she's like, yeah, we could fix that. And I was like, what? I've been trying to fix that for years. Yeah. So
it's a beautiful thing.
it is that side of things. Like when I hear that the weird stuff that they do, and I didn't really believe it. And then when she kind of went on that path with that, like to identify that, I was like, okay, it's a bit strange that she knew that just from looking at my eyes. But like I believe it because it definitely happened, and
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't tell
crazy.
her before it. So
I think everything you mentioned there as well is so like bang on what we're going through as well. Like, you know, like you said, the whole GP stuff has its place, but like we've found as well, it's like a massive blanket space. It's like, yeah, cool, that's needed, but not specifically needed to what you need as well. And like how you said, getting to the root cause of everything, that's exactly what we do as well. It's like, let's get to the root cause of this instead of just having a blanket thing and going, that's how we're going to treat it. Let's find the root of the cause, so then we can start to progress and start to see what else is causing, because you dare say that's why these symptoms are happening. And I think the stigma and the cultural shift is happening massively around it, like you know, and that's why it's going to be so beneficial to have you within the shift next year, because people get what we're saying, and then they get to go to you where they go, oh, there's another person in another field that's saying the exact same stuff that these guys are saying. Okay, cool, that's actually going to help me out
Absolutely.
with a little
way
bit
more
more
you know?
credibility, with a bit more credibility, because she's switched on.
Yeah, well, that as well.
We
And
go.
do you know what the funny thing was? I'll tell you how you messaged me. Remember that? Yeah.
The story of
So
how
good.
this came to be.
So
it's funny that he said it too. I'll get my little bit, because I was watching your stuff and I was thinking in my head, I was like, oh, it should be cool to have like on the podcast, like come in and work with us as well.
Yeah.
And then like a week later, he messaged me. He's like, oh, Jordyn's going to come on our podcast. And I was like, what? And I was just thinking that in my head. And he's like, yeah, and also she's going to do some work with us. And I was like, so weird.
yeah. So working with our new business coach, he was in that office over here, and we like completely modeled out what the shift is going to look like. And we went through like, why is the shift at the moment going to cause a lot of falters and a lot of hiccups? Is because we did the math, and if we kept it the same way as what we did this year with all of our coaches, we would have to launch the shift 40 times each year. I was like, that gives me nightmares and shivers down my spine. I am not launching something 40 times in a year. So we mapped out this new path, and he was just like, not a massive necessity, but I think something that would be really cool is if you could find a naturopath that would be on your same wavelength. And we're still looking for one, but looking for like a therapist or a psychologist or something that's on your wavelength as well. So I was like, yeah, cool. First person that popped into my head was my sister-in-law, Tash. And she was like, yeah, cool. I would absolutely love to. I just don't finish until like 2025, I think she said. I was like, can't wait that long. No. And she was like, I recommend one person. I was like, cool. She like sent over your Instagram. She's like, this is who I recommend in Newcastle. I'm like, sick, cool. Get that message off Tash. I go to message her. She's in my request with like a message like this being like, hey, I think we should like, if you'd be up for it, we could do some work together, all of this stuff. And I was like,
What?
the fuck is going on? Like, that is wild. And it was like, what you messaged over to me was exactly what I was going to message to you. And then when we met up, I was like, oh yeah, so obviously Tash has like got in contact with you, and you're like, who's Tash? I'm like, what? It's like Tash McLean. She was like, oh yeah, I love Tash. I'm like, so she reached out to you? She's like, no. I was like, oh my God, holy shit. And then it's crazy. Fucking crazy.
So crazy. So Tash was doing observations whilst I was in my last trimester at uni.
Gotcha.
So that's how I know her. But yeah, that was wild. It's just like we were just talking about universe aligning, and it really, again, bit woo-woo, but sometimes things just fall into place.
Yeah.
So
It was crazy.
Yeah,
good.
crazy.
It's meant to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Well, I'm going to play a bit of devil's advocate with scientific bullshit because I like to do that.
Here we go.
Buckle up, everyone.
Pull up.
No. On the flip side here, like when you say, there's been a cultural shift. Society have definitely accepted naturopathy more and more now, because they know, hey, you actually are backing your bullshit with science. Do you find that in the professional space, the GPs, when they look at you as well, they go, well, you know what? Yeah, I'm more concerned about the symptoms, treatment of symptoms rather than treatment of root cause. Because, look, man, I've been to surgeons that just treat whatever it was rather than what needed to be done. They just fix the problem and that's it. So do you find then that even GPs themselves are starting to come with a bit more of a holistic approach and working with you? Like, and that being said, on the second part, do you have a GP you line up with people if you need to?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go back to the start there. A GP is trained to identify, as I said before, disease in a condition, right? And treat that disease. Naturopaths are trained to optimize health, whether that be help to minimize the effect a disease is having on someone, or completely eradicate that dis-ease, is the way I like to say it. Whereas a doctor is specifically trained to address and I guess put a label on said disease, and then help it to not be there, however that may be. I find it's hard to say. It's still really hard to work collaboratively with a lot of general practitioners. It really is. And unfortunately, I think there's a little bit of an imbalance as to the naturopathic professions, I guess how we're seen by, obviously practitioners that have probably done a lot more study than us. We do 4 years. How long do GPs do? It's much longer than that. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you can understand how it's sort of like looking, not a looking down, but like, oh, we've done more. What are you saying? And I get that. I really do get that. But it's also, you can't, when we show our GPs, like the client goes back to them and they say, oh, I've actually been working with this naturopath and my cholesterol levels have now dropped this much. And they sort of didn't before.
Well, spot on. Like, you've definitely seen in recent times the reversal of type 2 diabetes just by pure exercise and diet.
Absolutely.
It's pretty crazy. Like I say, I've got a fair few of my mates are doctors and surgeons and things like that. So, they do sort of see it as, that's very woo girl. But then again, they do also, with someone who's a bit more healthy, oh, mate, how do I do this? How do I do this? And you're like, well, it's just more lifestyle choices. And you're like, man, just get up and walk.
And what I
Exercise.
say often is like, come and talk to me. Like, or come and talk to someone who is science-backed. Because obviously doctors and surgeons things are very science-backed. Absolutely. Very much into pathophysiology and, as I said, the chemical pathways and the mechanisms and things like that. But like if that's their understanding, maybe they've spoken to the wrong person, or, been around that old school naturopath that isn't quite so science-backed, and so I struggle to understand the way in which they are, like what they're picking up, because it's not the same. Like they haven't studied the same thing. They haven't learnt the same thing. So there's no way that we can compare ourselves because, as two different professions, we are very different with very different goals. And I think that is completely okay. It's just I think it's just educating people around, you do have other options in terms of your health and how you can treat whatever's showing up for you. And it's okay if you want to take medication, but it's also okay if you don't, and we can help you, without having to do that. So, I had a woman come and see me the other day who was on 23 medications, 23 different medications every single day, is still overweight and struggling to lose weight, is eating one meal a day, and is questioning why she feels the way she feels. And never once, she was just given 2 more when she went to her GP the other day, 2 more medications on top of that, to address how she was feeling. So rather than helping to educate her about the diet and how important it is to actually consume nutrients so that all these other pathways in the body can function, she was just given 2 more medications. And, as I said, I really believe there is a time and a place for general practitioners and medications and surgeons and all of that sort of thing. It's so important, but there's a missing link there so often. I am not from the Newcastle area originally. So in terms of your second question about whether I have a GP that I sort of align with or refer to, I'm still sort of building my base here. I do have a couple that I have worked with a little bit. I'm still feeling out the waters and testing the waters and you know, working out who aligns most. But there is also something called an integrative GP now, who do a little bit of both and are generally trained in herbal medicine and nutritional medicine as well as pharmaceuticals. That's an option as well. Very expensive. So that accessibility is often an issue. But, you know, if we can find people that align to help bridge that gap, then I think that's really important. That's a big step in the health movement.
Sort of answers my second question, which was like, well, you know, speaking with hormones, do you have yourself lined up with an endocrinologist? And then I'm like, well, if you need to go, that's a specialist, so obviously you need to go through a GP to get a referral. So, you know, well, you probably just answered that question. It's quite hard to kind of be able to have someone on tap and go, hey, look, yeah, go and see this person. Because they go, well, now you got to go to your GP, get a referral, why? Then the GP can stop it. They'll be like, why do you need to? My naturopath told me. And then you can have that bar. So answer my own question here.
I mean, you know, and there's something to say about the fact that naturopaths can't fix everything as well. And I think that's important to understand. You know, we refer back to GPs all the time because we're not trained to know when a certain medication is absolutely necessary. So if I have any queries about whether someone who's presenting to me is actually in danger and requires something to bring them back down, I will always refer back to a GP. It's so important. And I think that's another thing that's missed is that people just think, oh, well, how are they going to fix that? Like I need medication for that because it's this life-threatening condition or whatever. Yeah. I'm not saying we fix everything. We absolutely don't.
Yeah, 100%.
But we will optimize your health more than a general practitioner ever will. That's just flat out.
But I think that's the purpose though. Yep. You're not supposed to fix everything.
Absolutely.
So why would we continue to go to someone and expect them to fix everything? Do you know what I mean? Like, why do we continue to go to that base? And I get it. We're attracted to the white coats because that resembles protection and safety and help and everything like that in between. But once again, they're not meant to save and do everything as well. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure. Like you said, if someone's showing these signs or in danger or needs this, sure, 100%. But like you said, that missing link, that's where stuff like our work and your work, that's where it starts to step in. You know, instead of just going, speak to it, okay, here's a blanket term, go take this, you'll be fine. It's like, well, before you get to that stage, shouldn't that be the last point of intervention, not the first? Shouldn't that be the last? Shouldn't that be like, all right, we've tried everything, now let's go take this. Do you know what I mean? Like, shouldn't we go, like you said, nutrition, hydration, you could even go like down the herbal path. Yeah,
right?
like
the pillars of health.
Yeah. So,
sleep.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, those are the things that we should be focusing on first. And like we say to our clients, if they come to us and they're showing signs of this, or this, we always go back and say, where are your basics? What are you doing with your basics? You know, I had this conversation with Max a few months ago.
Many times.
Going through something, and he was just like, yep, I feel tapped out. I feel this, I feel that. I'm like, yeah, well, where's your basics at? He's like, haven't been doing them. Come chat to me once you start doing them. Probably, 2-3 weeks later, you come back and you're like, don't even worry about it. Like, I'm fine.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. That's the thing with what I do as a naturopath. It's not easy for the client, for the person actually having to put the things into place. That's where we differ. It's not easy to truly heal yourself.
Yeah.
And I often have a lot of clients coming to me and they sit down with me and we talk all about it, and I start to, educate them a little bit about what could actually be happening for them and how we could address it moving forward. But they're not at a place where they're ready to address it like that. And that's okay too. And those people will come back to me in 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years and be ready. But
it's a lot of patience.
it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. It takes a lot of time, a lot of self-control and self-regulation, and, like eating healthy. That in itself is just, that's a whole kettle of fish.
Yeah, 100%. Do you reckon the people that have been, let's just say, like you said, they were going down that path of going to speak to a GP and now they've come to you, do you reckon, like you said, one of the biggest challenges is getting them out of that headspace of like, this isn't a quick fix? You know what I mean? It's not like you're going to go there and they tell you, all right, take this, you'll be fine. It's more like, hey, this is going to be a lot more of a challenge. I'm not just going to give you this quick fix. There's more deconstructing those belief systems around, you know, the inner world.
Yeah, that's probably my biggest challenge. And the biggest barrier I have to helping people is helping people to realize that it takes time and it takes effort and it takes ongoing support. And what you guys do is exactly the same.
Yeah.
You can't fix something in a day.
Yep.
Not when it's taken years to get to this point. So, you know, we sort of have this saying in naturopathy that for every year that you've been unwell, it takes at least 1 month to recuperate somewhat from that. And so most people have been unwell for a long time or have started showing signs of being unwell 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. So then we get to this point where I'm like, well, we sort of need to work together for 6 months, but I can promise you that in 6 months, you're going to be a whole new person. But getting people to really believe to their core that that is worthwhile doing for that long. That's hard. And I understand that. And that's what I mean. People will come back and do that when they're ready.
Spot on.
Yeah.
That's like we see all the time, the ego mind keeps you in that protection mode.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things that we see, especially since we've increased the shift to 9 months. A lot of people have been like, well, why 9 months? It's like, why do I have to be doing it for 9 months? It's like, well, I wish I could say to your face, I could solve everything that you've got within 2 months. And like I say back to him, I just say, just so you're clear, I can't solve anything for you. It's completely up to you, and it's completely up to the amount that you put into this. Like, I'm not here to claim and go, I'm going to rid your anxiety or your depressive states or anything like that. I'm not here to do that. What I am here to do, and what our team is here to do, is to create a 9 month period for you to be able to give it your all to be able to achieve your outcomes. That's what we're here to do. And I just, and that's one of the biggest challenges is getting people to understand that 3 months, 2 months, or 1 month, it's just not enough time. Like, it's just not enough time to be able to get you where you want to be. Like, if we're talking about things where you're like, I want to process, let's just say, a childhood piece, and this individual's 30, it's like, we've got 20 something years that we need to work through here. And we can't just do it in 3 months. There's so much stuff that we need to learn on top of your personal stuff. That's where the 9 months kicks in. And that's where, you know, all of a sudden now we have our team here where they can go into breakout rooms and actually work individually with our team instead of just working in a massive group. You also get that, you know, I guess personalized one-on-one stuff as well. So yeah, I think, you know, once it starts to get rolling 100%, once it starts to open up next year, I think people will start to say, yeah, okay, I definitely need to be working longer. Like, I'm sure you experience as well. Once they start, they go, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I understand.
Yeah. It's as I said, it's probably one of my biggest challenges, but, you know, I think it's also a matter of setting a bit of a precedent. So, you know, people will never come to me expecting, like, if people follow me and sort of have a bit of an understanding of who I am as a practitioner and what I do, they know by the time they get to me that, you know, it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
I find it's the people who haven't sort of followed that journey and, you know, I make sure that I really set a precedent. My first consult, I'm like, okay, this is where we're sitting. This is what the timeline's looking like. And I say to my clients a lot of times, I care about my clients so much. You can't be in this role if you're not a carer. But I often say, like, I don't care what you do. I really don't care if you don't help yourself. I do. But at the same time, it's
not yours to take on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Imagine if I cared, if every single person that walked through the door didn't do the things I told them to or suggested they do and let that impact me, how I then wouldn't be able to show up for my next client. So I don't care what you go away and do. I don't care if you choose to not you know, put into place some of those modifications that I've suggested, but it's you that suffers. And that's, you know, I think that's the best way that I can connect with them, is to say, I'm here to support you through this and guide you, but I can't do the thing for you, and you're the only one that's going to regret not doing it. Yeah. In, you know, 6 months' time, when you could have had a much more resolution.
It's a very mature approach. How long did it take you to get to that point?
Yeah, quite some time. Quite some time. I think you I don't know. I remember treating clients and being upset when they didn't come back for a second appointment, and going, I know what we did in that first appointment isn't going to be life-changing for you. I don't give much in a first appointment either, because if I overwhelm somebody, they won't come back.
Yep.
So I went through this period of like, well, I know that I didn't help. Like, I know that they can't have possibly got over what they were going through just from that one appointment. But, then you sort of just learn along the way that people will do what they want to do, and as I said, I can't help everyone, and people aren't ready to be helped.
Yep.
The people that are, that's why my job's worth doing.
Yeah.
And people eventually, even if you're not ready now, and that is totally okay, and there is no judgment whatsoever, but eventually one day when you are, come back to me and we'll get you sorted. That's fulfilling, and that's why I do what I do.
Do you know, I think, good question, Max, by the way. I think I personally only fully adapted that probably 12 months ago, I would say.
Yeah, wow.
Probably for the first few years, it was like, same thing, what their results are is because of me. It's like, if it's good, it's good. If it's not good, I'm not good. And I was like impacting everywhere else. Similar conversation, my partner Lauren sat me down and she was just like, snap out of it. Like, that's not up to you. You don't control them, outside of that hour and a half that you see them each week. So how's it on you? And I was like, yeah, that's true. As long as I'm showing up and putting the platforms in place, like, you can't do much else for them. And maybe it's not a lesson learnt for them straight away, but it's a lesson learnt when they look back on it. And that's what I had to learn for myself. I was just like, yeah, I get it. Okay.
It's
this
the
is not up to
human
me.
condition to want something right now.
Yeah.
It just is. And especially in this day and age where we get what we want. Yeah.
Everything's accessible.
Absolutely. And that's the other thing. Like, there is so much information. Like, honestly, you don't need to do my degree to know all the information I know. It's out there. It's on social media. You can hunt it down and find it. It's a matter of finding somebody, and I'm sure this is the same with you guys. Like, people could probably work out what your techniques are somehow by doing enough research and put them into practice.
100%.
But it's about finding somebody that can align that for you as an individual, because everybody is different, and what works for you won't work for you, and what works for you won't work for you.
Yep.
So that's a big part of it as well.
Yeah. One of my very first coaches told me, and it's still something that sticks with me. He was just like, just remember, everyone on this earth is teaching the same thing. They're coming to you for you, not what you teach. I was like, I get it. Like, not necessarily a fact if someone's coming to me to be like a doctor or anything, but it's like, if you're in a service base, you're providing a service. So people are wanting to be helped by you. That's the main reason why they're there. So, our current business coach, he said to me very bluntly one time, he's just like, look, Jake, no one gives a fuck about your offer. I was like, oh, like this? He's like, not in a mean way, and it's great what you've got, but people don't care about it in that way. What they care about is, what Polaris is about and what they do. And then, like you said, he was like, you can give them anything. They will jump into it if they align to what your story is and what your message is about. So, yeah.
And it's the feeling. It's the feeling they get as well.
Yeah.
Some people won't align with that, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
You
cool.
find you attract the people that, I know I attract the people that I can help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So next year, Jordyn is going to be our resident naturopath. So, pretty much the process will be, once you onboard into the shift, you'll have a booking link that will be able to be booked in with Jordyn, and then you can jump on and be one of Jordyn's clients outside of the shift, and you can be looked and be supported in that way. So that's what's coming next year. It's gonna be sick.
It is. It's actually it's pretty good. It's something completely different. Like we say, we're kind of changing up, shaking up the world of this, shaking up the universe, the empowerment universe, really. And so having these resources available, we're very excited to have you part of it, because it's going to be good.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
And I think, you guys deal, give me one, do you have one word, a one sentence, what am I saying? A one sentence spiel on what the shift is doing for people next year? And let me riff off that.
No, Jacob's got it.
Yeah.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, no, we're providing tools and strategies for mental and emotional health, but the main purpose is to improve self-worth, and just illuminate that self-worth, not improve it, but illuminate it, because it's always there. It's just about providing the tools and strategies to be able to get that self-worth. So yeah, that's in its horcrux. That's the main message, and then we build and expand off of it.
Yeah. So I guess just to create a bit more of an idea about how naturopathy weaves into that for anyone listening is when we look at mental and emotional health and the trauma response and all that sort of thing, as you would probably know, very much related to the nervous system first and foremost. So the first thing we need to do there is not only address that, through the channels that you guys are addressing it, but also addressing it through those sort of more scientific chemical channels where we're talking about neurotransmitters and the synthesis of neurotransmitters, and do you have the nutrients to synthesize specific neurotransmitters, or are you low in vitamin D, which is creating making it much more difficult to actually have those all your good neurotransmitters that make you feel good and help you to improve your self-worth through like the feelings that we actually conjure up biochemically. So another big thing, and I talk about this every single day, is that you cannot heal if you are in a state of fight or flight. So if you've gone through any trauma in your life, whether that be physical, emotional, it can be the smallest of things that have caused your body to be a bit scared or standoffish or having to survive through a moment, even if it is a moment in time, then we are more predisposed to being in this sympathetic nervous system, which is that fight or flight response. And you cannot heal if you're in that space. So not only do we have to utilize techniques, like you guys bring to the table, but then we also have to utilize food as medicine and nutritional supplementation to actually help your body adapt to the stressors that it's having to deal with on a day-to-day basis, which we all do in this world, and get it into that parasympathetic. So then you can heal from there. We want to be, that's the sort of rest and digest nervous system where you can truly bring yourself back. I was listening to a podcast the other day. Well, no, it was a few months ago, and I've just been like hammering it into my clients all the time. And they were talking about the most simple way to bring yourself back into that parasympathetic nervous system. And it's called the physiological sigh. And it's like this big, and I do it all the time now because I'm like A-type. Like, do you guys know the physiological sigh? Okay, yeah. I'm sure you've talked about it.
We drum it into our clients,
But like even that,
it's
like
great.
This isn't what you guys do is not my forte.
Yeah,
and like a big, and then another, and then a.
Like those. Yeah, the dog size when they're on your bed, like, oh fuck, I've had a rough day.
Yeah.
It's actually.
Beep that out. 38 minutes.
Yeah.
It's actually changed my world.
Yeah, it is.
As a person that's like highly strung all the time, and I'm still learning how to get out of my into my parasympathetic more often. But even just something that simple that you can do in the car when you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Like that is one very, very simple tool that you can use. And I guess it's just, enlightening all those different tools and then helping to bring them into the day-to-day life. I also work a lot on the gut. Gut is the king. So there's something called the vagus nerve, which goes from, I'm sure you've heard of it as well, goes from the gut to the brain. It's one of the biggest nerves in the body that's often sort of forget about. We sort of think about all the spinal nerves and everything going off to our peripheries, and we forget about this big guy that's just hanging out in the middle in charge of everything. So, what is your microbiome doing? So the good and bad bacteria that are living in your gut, is there an imbalance that's actually creating a chemical change in your neurotransmitter synthesis and your hormones and all that sort of thing? If you have a look, if you just type into Google microbiome and nervous system or something along those lines, and you start to read the clinical trials and the studies about the impact of the microbiome on mental health, and it's shocking. It's shocking, and it's shocking that it's not It's only just sort of coming to light in the last few years.
Yeah.
But I find it really helps to address that as well. So yeah, it's looking at all those. It's just looking at every aspect and how we can holistically put it all together to help support you to get you to where you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, the physiological side, cyclic side, it's such a powerful tool. That's the biggest thing that we're trying to get across, especially over the last year. It's like, you know, the meditation retreats and the massages and the spa days and everything like that are all needed. But unfortunately, in our day-to-day life, we don't have time most of the time to be able to take off 5 days or 6 days to be able to go do it. So it's like that physiological side you can do wherever you are, and you can get back into your parasympathetic state, and you can, you know, get back into that nervous system by doing that simple process. You could probably do it for 5 minutes or more, however long you wanted to. And you can get back into your parasympathetic state while you're driving, while you're maybe feeling like you're anxious in a social setting. You can do it that way. Or you could be doing it, let's just say, like we are, set up in a podcast. And you're like, holy crap, I'm nervous. Let me transition back into a parasympathetic state and do it that way. Yeah, it's really cool, the research they've done on it. And like the stuff that once you learn about it, I went home and seen my kids do it. I was like, I get it. Like, kids do it all the time. Like that sigh when you're deep in sleep and you're like dreaming back off. Like, yeah, your body's relaxing. That's your unconscious mind getting you into that parasympathetic state, and you can do it consciously. It's a powerful tool. It's a really cool, powerful tool for sure. Yeah.
So I've really enjoyed bringing in, as I said, that's because as a naturopath, I'm so holistic. We're trained to look at a lot of different things and be good at a lot of different things. So it's you know, when we're trained, you're not sort of specifically trained down one path.
Yep.
So for example, I know a lot about the nervous system, but I was never trained through my degree to like delve into like the specific way to get, you know, we just don't go that into depth. You can't possibly, because we're looking at a whole human.
Sure.
So if we went into depth about every single mechanism, like how many years would that take you? Take you more than a lifetime.
Yeah.
But as we sort of do a lot of continual education, and a big focus for me, you know, sports nutrition is one of my big loves, but it's also mental and emotional health is now becoming, I mean, it's such a big component of my practice. And as I said, I can't help somebody to heal physically if that side of things isn't I guess being worked on at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely I'm learning more every day, and so are my clients, and it's the best.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's great to build up that arsenal of stuff and be able to have it under your tool belt, especially when you're in those scenarios where you would have maybe avoided in the past. You can feel empowered to go, all right, I can do these simple things, and I can do these simple things that seemed very hard, which is completely valid. Like, I completely understand. Sometimes it's so hard to even get out of bed. Like, never the thought of going to get a coffee at a cafe. So if you can implement these strategies while you're on the go, even another level of empowerment can start to come through. So we get to see you next year, which is going to be sick. So yeah, if anyone, when they do sign up to the shift, you'll have a booking link that you can get in with Jordyn and get your physical, emotional, mental health looked after from an amazing naturopath, which is going to be unreal.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be sick. Yeah, we're so pumped. A little break, and then we crack into it starting next year, which is going to be, it's going to be awesome. Have you got any plans for Chrissy?
What are we doing? Well, as I said before, we sort of started recording, moving house today. So Christmas will be a little bit chaotic probably, but, you know, in a new house when we don't have a dining table and we want to be hosting. But, you know, whatever, we'll work that out as we go. What are we doing? Cal and I love heading up to Bonny Hills. It's like our little... I swear no one knows about Bonny Hills. It's this old little retiree town.
I ran through it. I was like, what is this place?
So we're obsessed with Reflections holiday parks. They just...
There's one up there.
Yes.
I don't know if it's Bonny Hills, but there's one a little
couple.
bit like closer to us, and it's like a whole big field of trampolines like in the ground, and then they've got like this huge swim path. They've got like a hectic mini golf. I was like running through it, and I was like, I just took a photo of it. I was like, I'm coming back here. I was like, this is sick. I don't even have kids.
Their upkeep is immaculate.
Yeah.
Shameless plug for Reflections.
Are you talking about the one on the cliff bit there?
Yeah, it's on the top of the cliff,
Yeah.
overlooking the water. They've got beautiful, like all the sites are like sandstone edges and like so well manicured, and amenities are fab. So we just go out there, take the dog.
Yeah.
We're going to do that over New Year's and
That's mad.
not do the whole festival thing because I'm, over that. So yeah, just chill and come
Nice.
back into the year
Yeah.
ready and roaring to go.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole festival things makes my body shiver.
Look, I'd go to ones in America, like overseas, like the big ones.
Yeah, Coachella and stuff for sure. But
Yeah, but over here, nah. One of my mates is
fun.
like, he's like, do you want to come to a festival with me next week? I was like, bruh. I ain't doing nothing.
look at me.
I've never been to a festival.
Really?
They're missing out.
Am I?
I just
You need to do it. At least experience
need
one.
to do it once.
My
Yeah,
first
it's-
ever festival was Coachella.
That's pretty loose.
And I've done that. And then I went into DEF CON, which was like a whole other
That's a
scene.
different scene.
crazy.
Yeah. And then just little ones I've gone to. But yeah, like overseas, it's like it's a whole next level. It's just, such a
It's
different vibe.
It's their scenes. I'm just-
Yeah.
I don't know. I never got into it when I was younger, and now that I'm older,
I'm getting more into concerts.
real.
Yeah, I reckon
little
they're-
gigs.
Yeah, just gigs and stuff like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying.
Like, I went to Khalid and I literally laid at the back of the ground on like in the where everyone was. I went to the back of it and just laid down and closed my eyes. And I was like, this is so good.
That's pretty good.
And just laid there and just listened to it. I was like, this is the best time ever.
I was gonna keep learning my instruments and then just fucking start headlining myself.
Why not? Down the local, down at Dudley Pub.
Yeah, there you
Actually,
go.
yeah, I tell you what, that's actually been like a little vision, little dream of mine. When you listen to John Mayer, he's pretty fucking cool. He's good. He's smooth. He's sexy.
Yeah.
You think about that, but what it takes me back is to like when I was growing up, and Mum used to work in the vineyards, and sometimes she'd take you to work, or she would, because she couldn't find a babysitter, so I would just go messing about broken wood wines and all that sort of stuff. But you hear all these live music things, and that sort of music was always sort of playing, and got me kind of vibing. I was like, yeah, one day I'll be able to do that. Just sit it somewhere and groove. I've got a few metal versions I'm gonna turn to acoustic, and
2024 is your year.
There you go.
Imagine seeing Max, this big juiced up dude, just fucking
Oh,
playing the guitar.
bro, you should have seen
Walking
when-
in, you gotta get walking. It's like if it doesn't sound too good, you walk. I'm gonna abuse this thing and walk in, just see me like,
Nope.
fuck, don't worry about that one.
You should have seen these kids when we went into Belmont High the other day. We sat down the front, and these kids are like, just looking at him. And then at the end, we're like, all right, do you have any questions for us? And then it was dead silent. And this one kid goes, how much you bench? Yeah. And he's like, he told him, he was like, oh. He was like, how much you squat? He told him, he's like, oh. It was heaps funny. I was expecting like these or thank you or whatever. And he was just like, how much you bench?
Yeah.
Typical year 7 kid.
That was like us. We went to me, and Jacob went to this creative club like conference thing, and this guy got up, Joey, and he had this big speech, and everyone's asking all these hectic questions, and I was just gonna be like, because he does jiu-jitsu, and I was gonna, it was a dead silence, and I was like thinking, fuck, I should say it. I was just gonna be like, do you want to roll? Because all these people are like asking like these real in-depth questions, and I'm just like, hey, that ain't me.
By the way, Joey is probably one of the best jiu-jitsu
in New South Wales.
in
In Australia.
Australia. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's like pure black belt. and this guy's like gonna ask him for a roll. I'm like, mate, you're gonna get your arm snapped.
Yeah.
Like big cauliflower is like,
oh wow,
that type of guy. Yeah, most humble dude.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it. I was like, if he says this, I'm going to just put my head into my shirt and be like, I'm not here. I'm not here.
That was funny. He was like telling stories like, yeah, you got to have those people who like forget their keys and all this. And then it was dead silent. I saw Jacob just spin his chairs heaps slow and just look at me. And I was like, I felt my pockets and I was like, where are my keys?
Yeah, Joey was speaking about how in order for your from their experience, it's like in order for your business to blossom, you got to have someone that's like
A visionary.
At the computer desk and statistics and the structure and all the sort of boring stuff. And then you got to have someone that's like the visionary that's like out there, does it and everything like this. And he's like, the visionaries, you'll always know who they are because they never know where their keys are. And I looked around, I looked at Tahi and he was like, fuck are my keys?
They're in the car.
There he is.
They're in the car.
Oh, fuck, it was funny. I was like, that's so bang on.
Yeah.
So bang on. Because, it doesn't work unless you got someone that's willing to put themselves out there. Not me. He's the type of dude, if you're going to someone's place, instead of messaging them being like, I'm at the front, he will bang the door down and be like, I'm here. That's him. I'm like, I could never. I remember this one time we had to go pick up this leather couch. Never met these people before. We rock up.
I was like, get out. And he's like, oh, they haven't messaged me. He's like, fuck this. So I just got up, walked up to the door, knocked on the door. I was like, hey, I'm here.
They didn't open the door, so we went around to the side gate, and he's peeping his head over. He's like, I'm here, like this. I'm like, no, like I could never do that. Like never in a million years. Just wait for him to come out. Oh, hey, how are you? No, I have to bang the door down.
The funniest thing, we're going a bit off topic here.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, welcome. We were in Sydney doing an event. I was Sydney Wollongong, and we walk into this thing, and the alarm starts going off. Jacob, I've never seen someone panic so hard. He shits himself, runs out, locks me in the building. The alarms are going off. I'm just standing there, just like, you've locked me in. Like, I'm with the alarm. I don't know how to figure it out. He's like, you're on your own. I was like, are you fucking serious? I was like, and he just panicked so hard. He's like going off at me. He's like, you're a fucking idiot. I was like, you left me in here. I was like, what do you mean? And yeah, I had to ring the place, and he's just like, you got to ring him. And I was tell him to turn it off. I was like, hey, I'm just locked in the in your building with the alarm going. She goes, oh yeah, I'll just turn it off. And he comes in, he's like, everything's sorted. And I was like, yes.
Because I was the day before, I had to do like a 2-hour induction of it. Like, this is what you do here and here and here, and if it's this, and if you stuff this up, it's this amount of fine. And so I'm like going down there wired. I'm like, all right, I have to hack the mainframe. And I thought we'd done it, and I was like, din, 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 din. Oh, sweet. And then the alarm just goes off. And he had done nothing. It was completely not him. And I'm like, oh, you fucking idiot. Like, why'd you do that for? And he's like...
And then he just legged it out the door, locked the door, like, these slide. I'm in this building, like, that's not meant to have anyone in it. And I'm just standing there, and the camera's just like, just turns to me, and I'm just like... I was just froze. I was just standing there. Yeah.
How bad does that look?
Yeah.
It's so bad.
And then it finished. I'm like,
You're looking at
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize.
I've got a
I
joke
digress.
Oh,
Just
man.
a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for coming on, mate.
Yeah, thank
Thanks so
you.
much for having me. Good to have a chat.
That's sick, wasn't it?
Love
Anytime.
a little space up here.
Yeah, it's cool.
Excited
Where
to
can
see what
where can the people find you and get booked in with you?
Absolutely. So obviously, sign up for the shift.
Yep.
You will get a link to book in through the Polaris, I guess, stream.
Yep.
Otherwise, you can have a look at my Instagram. My business is, as I said, The Health Refinery. So I'm at The Health Refinery on Instagram or www.thehealthrefinery.com.au or I am Jordyn Taylor. Jordyn with Y, Taylor with an A at the end, on Instagram.
She's done this before.
Yeah, she's had to practice.
I got some funny spelling names. So I'm probably most active on Insta. So if you want to reach out, you're more than welcome to have a chat.
Jordyn's on our website too. Her links are on our
Absolutely.
website as well. So if you want to go find Jordyn on there, her links will be on the website as well.
Beautiful.
Cool. All right. Well, Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. This will be our last episode for 2023. What a ride, huh?
Yeah.
It's like 50-something podcasts this year.
Yeah, 50. This is number 58.
Right.
58, and we would have done a couple before
Yeah.
the end.
Well, I'll
Start
probably
off.
do more one soon, maybe.
Yeah.
We're going to round it up 60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for joining us for 2023, and we'll see you all bright and early next year. You boys want to say anything? Sick. Good. Max. Sick. All right. Cool. All right.
Yeah,
See you next year.
something to say.
All right, see ya.
Au revoir. Bye bye.
Bye.
Fade to black.
You.